brought in a soft police state, which is what we really have now, and they want to make it a hard police state and really lock down the entire world. They want this to be a globalized, centralized dictatorship. So I'm on slide number 6 for those of you who are following along in the PDF document that I uploaded to my site. Hopefully my server, I just went to a new server, and hopefully it is handling the load of people downloading the presentation for those who did go up there and try to retrieve it. So slide number 6 shows basically the Earth with a cage around it, locked down with a master lock. And that's basically the kind of world that these dominators want to achieve, that they want to bring into manifestation. What I told the audience the other night, and what I'll say again here tonight, is that the presentation I'm about to give is the master key to that lock. This is the key to the understanding that is herein contained is actually the key to unlock that gate and to free this world. If only we essentially come to that knowledge of our own accord and our own free will. And what I basically told the audience is that I can never get you to, I can't forcibly make you understand this. You have to receive it. But I wanted to establish that this isn't my belief system. This is stuff that is inherently existing in the universe, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. Actually, we'll talk about it right now, because the next section, the first section, I gave this presentation in 13 sections, which is kind of a symbolic number. So section number 1 was definitions, to establish basic foundations for the language as we go forward in the presentation. So what is natural law? You know, we have to establish what the word natural means and what the word law means in the context that we're of the ideas that we're talking about. So I defined natural as inherent, and that means having a basis in nature, reality, and truth. Okay? Its basis is in nature, in the natural world. It is not made or caused by humankind. Non-man-made, in other words. Man didn't make this up. It is self-existing. Okay? And law, I defined as an existing condition which is binding and immutable. Binding means that it has an effect on you, whether you accept it, know about it, believe in it, doesn't matter. You are bound by it. There are conditions in the world. Laws are conditions that are existing in the world that you are bound by when we're talking about natural laws, okay? And they are immutable. They cannot be changed simply by wishing them away or not wanting them to be there. They are, period, okay? So that's natural law then, is existing conditions which are binding and immutable and have a basis in nature, reality, and truth that are not caused by humankind. That's what natural law is. The historical significance of natural law I briefly touched on, and this was touched on by the host, Fernando, earlier actually. So he read a bit from the Declaration of Independence, and this was also in my lecture. So the historical significance of natural law was section number 2. If you're following along, we're now on slide 10, and moving to slide 11, I talked about natural law in the foundations of America in particular. Could have mentioned it in other societies, but since this is where we live, I wanted to help people to get an appreciation that the founders of this country had a deep knowledge of natural law. They didn't always adhere to it as well as they should have or could have, but they did possess an understanding of it that they attempted to enshrine in the founding documents of this country. So I'll read a little bit from the Declaration of Independence to show how they incorporated the concept of natural law into it. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Okay? So In the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, natural law is mentioned. The laws of nature and of nature's God. Nature's God. Okay? The founding fathers of this country were deists. They weren't religionists. They were deists. They knew that there was a force of creation or a creator. And they knew that that was the force that basically created nature, the natural world. And that there are laws that nature is governed by, and that humanity is bound to those laws whether they like it or not. So they put that in the very first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. Okay? Moving on to slide 12. They also said that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's a lot of words in there that are important. First of all, we hold these truths with a capital T to be self-evident. Truth, not beliefs, not opinions, not trends, not current circumstances, but truths. Okay? And we hold them to be self-evident. They're so obvious. Okay? It's like saying the sky is blue. Okay? It's self-evident. At least it was to them. We've fallen a long way in our understanding of natural law since the founding of this country. At least most people have. All men are created equal. And by men, they mean mankind, men and women. Some people will claim they did not mean that, but, I think it is something that, if they did not mean, we should certainly include all people. It's not just men. And, this is like, as we say men, man can mean a single man or man as a whole of the species, okay? But they're saying all men are created equal. Created. That implies a creator. And then the next phrase talks about that. They are endowed by their creator. Okay? An endowment is a birthright. It means something that you have by nature of being born. You were given it by the Creator as a birthright. No one can take it from you. No one can grant it to you or take it away from you. And they go on to describe that we have certain unalienable rights. This means they cannot be separated from us. They cannot be made alien. A lien cannot be placed upon them so that they are separate from us. We always have them. We always have had them. We always will have them. These rights are eternal. They're not made by man. They're not granted by man. They were granted by the Creator. Whatever you happen to feel that force is for you doesn't matter. You can imagine it however you like to imagine it. And it's your goal to get into touch with that through a one-to-one basis on your own. Okay? But these are not granted by men or women. They are not given to us. They cannot be taken from us. Oh, there are people who think they can, but in reality, they cannot ever really usurp our rights. They can make the claim and try to put that into practice, but the right still exists, no matter what the conditions on the earth are. Okay? They are inherent rights. Moving on. The next section was called General Principles. The general principles of natural law. And these were not specifically defined or gone through in order in the presentation, but I will touch upon where these happen to be talked about as we go further into the presentation, okay? There are 7 basic principles to understand when talking about natural law. Natural law is ultimately expressed through 7 basic principles. Principles, the word principles means first things. And as we've said on the show in the past, When it comes to our principles, we have to put these first things first. We need to be more concerned with principles than anything else, because principles are based in truth. Those who know and adhere to these principles. Now notice I didn't say believe in these principles. These are not things that need to be believed in. These are things that are in existence. They are naturally occurring in the universe. Okay? They are inherently extant. They exist. We need to recognize their existence, to come to know them. Not believe in them, but to know them and adhere to them. Okay, so those who know and adhere to these principles possess the key through which the wisdom of the universe is unveiled. And that's a big statement. That's a big claim. Okay? However, that is the truth. If we really do understand and know these principles, and then we live in harmony with them, the amount of wisdom that will open up to us is scarcely imaginable to us in the current conditions that we live in. These 7 principles of natural law, the basis, the foundation for natural law, are the principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Okay? So I'll briefly touch on them. I won't get into them in depth, and then you will see how these will apply as we move forward in the lecture. The principle of mentalism is simply that everything that exists first as a mental construct. The mind is the essential generator of everything that we experience. Okay? The universe that we experience comes into being as a result of how we think. Our experience will be dictated by how we think. As a man and woman thinks, so they will be. The principle of correspondence is that the universe is self-similar across all scales, from the macrocosm to the microcosm. It is essentially fractal and holographic. All right? As above, so below. As takes place in the microcosmic universe, it will be reflected into the macrocosmic universe, or the larger. As the things that take place and enter into manifestation on the small scale, okay, you will see the larger scale be reflective of that, and vice versa. All right? The principle of vibration. Everything vibrates. Nothing rests. Everything is composed of vibratory energy. I hear our break music coming up. Stay tuned. Coming up to another break. I'm Mark Passio. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back on What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. The website is whatonearthishappening.com. The network is the IntelHubNewsNetwork.com. So, we were talking about the general principles of natural law. The principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. And some of you may know these as the Hermetic principles, and indeed they are. But these are the principles that govern natural law. I was talking about the principle of vibration. This is that everything in the universe is essentially composed of vibratory energy. And we can employ different vibrational states to change what we experience. The principle of polarity. Everything has a positive and a negative pole to it. The principle of rhythm. Time and consciousness move in cycles. The principle of cause and effect. Effect invariably follows cause.